Part 142. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1411. Chapter 1411 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 22. That's true, but everyone has seen Kim Hye-soo's strength in terms of singing skills. Sakura is slightly better than Kim Hye-soo in terms of dancing skills. There is no comparison between Sakura and Kim Hye-soo. I still think Kim Hye-soo is more suitable for the C position. Little Cherry is an internet celebrity, and if she is given the C position, I'm afraid there will be another storm on the internet, questioning our emperor's standards for judging people. Jun Chennai felt a little pain in his head as he listened to their heated discussion. But no matter what the instructors say, one thing is certain, that is, Sakura and Kim Hye-soo are both must-debut candidates. One is in charge of rap and the other is in charge of dance. There's nothing to say. It's just that which of these two people is the C position remains to be discussed. Jun Chennai stroked his forehead with his hand and said in a slow voice, "Is that Little Cherry paddling really as good as you say?" More than half a year has passed since that incident, and Jun Chennai only has a faint impression of that girl. She couldn't be picky about her looks, and her rap skills were excellent, but her attitude just now made Jun Chennai's favorability towards her drop by several degrees. The instructors were quiet for a while, and then someone whispered, "She usually works very hard. I just don't know which tendon was wrong today," just in time for Jun Chennai to see her paddling, and she didn't pay attention to the training. But as soon as the instructor finished speaking, the door of the office was suddenly pushed open, and a girl gasped and shouted to everyone in the office, "Oh no, Xiao Yingying and Jin Huixiu are fighting." The instructors were startled and quickly stood up from their seats. Jun Chennai raised his eyebrows, and then looked at the group of stunned instructors. "Shall we go and see what's going on?" The instructors all had dark faces along the way. "How come you are usually fine, but at such a critical moment, everything goes wrong?" When Jun Chennai and his party arrived at the dance studio, the first thing they saw was Xiao Tao Tao sitting on Jin Huixiu. The two were fighting together. Jin Huixiu obviously couldn't beat Xiao Tao Tao, who was full of strength. The people next to her kept arguing, but Little Cherry was like a submachine gun and could not be retrieved. Instead, she looked so aggressive that she was bound to beat Jin Huixiu to pieces. "Stop!" Jun Chennai shouted to stop, and they stopped. Little Cherry's hair was disheveled, and there were several bright red scratches on her arms. Her eyes were red and she was staring at Jin Huixiu. A group of girls gathered around Jin Huixiu. Jin Huixiu's blonde hair fell all over the floor. There were also several scratches on her neck and arms. It was obvious that the Little Cherry was beaten very hard and had no intention of letting her go. The group of people behind Jin Huixiu formed a sharp contrast with the solitary Little Cherry. Of course, Jun Chennai could also see that Jun Chennai's original prejudice against Xiao Tao suddenly changed and took on something else. Jun Chennai looked at Little Cherry's resolute and courageous eyes. She seemed to be fearless, biting her lip and staring intently at Jin Huixiu's face. The instructors all had dark faces, looking at Little Cherry as if they wanted to eat her alive. Little Cherry is usually a very docile person, so why is it that at such a critical period like today, she is paddling and fighting at the same time? What did she make Jun Chennai think? They had praised her just now, so how could they lose face now? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1412. Chapter 1412 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 23. "Little Cherry, what are you doing?" A grumpier tutor ran over and stood in front of Little Cherry to question her. Little Cherry snorted coldly, pointed at Jin Huixiu angrily and yelled, "What am I doing? You should ask her what she did." When Jin Huixiu heard that Xiao Ying was about to expose her, she quickly defended, "I didn't mean it. I've already been humble to you. It's you who judge a gentleman's heart with caution." "Gentleman? Little Cherry narrowed her eyes, her disgust palpable. Okay, even if you were not careful before and it was an accident, how do you explain that someone added something to my water? Do you dare to say that it was not you? Why are you accusing me of doing it without any basis? You still have to use dirt to catch a thief. Because you have always been against me, from the beginning to the end. If you hadn't done a lot of trivial things, why would I only doubt you and not others? Are you being unreasonable? Who knows that you didn't mean to say that in front of Mr. June? After all, everyone knows that you want to be in the C position, so you deliberately slander me in front of Mr. June. You want to debut in the C position. Who doesn't know that you are Little Cherry's usual method? Wasn't it the same method you relied on to get yourself signed to the Emperor? Jin Huixiu's words were conclusive, and the people behind her nodded in agreement. It seemed that the situation was extremely unfavorable for Xiao Tao. It seemed that what everyone said was true, and all this was Xiao Tao's conspiracy. Little Cherry didn't defend herself, but just sneered. It's really disgusting. It's a shame that I have washed my hands of someone like you. If it had been me before, I would have beaten you to the ground. Small Cherry. The instructor scolded angrily. Do you want to be expelled? Little Cherry held her breath and stopped talking. Jun Chennai listened to what they just said, but he never expressed his stance or said anything. He just thought it was interesting that there was already such an internal conflict even before they debuted, and the two parties involved in the conflict were Xiao Yingying and Jin Huixiu, who were recommended by the mentors. It seems that these two people are incompatible. You just said that someone put medicine in your water glass. Jun Chennai had a playful tone when he spoke. Little Cherry nodded and pointed in the direction of her thermos cup. Yes, when we were in the changing room, Jin Huixiu found out that I was on my period, so she deliberately poured her own ice drink on me. She knew that I was on my period. No ice water was allowed and my stomach hurt when I touched it. She did it on purpose. She wanted me to make a fool of myself during training and later during the selection competition. She also put medicine in my thermos. Fortunately, I did. I immediately noticed something grainy on the lip of the cup and felt something was wrong, so I didn't drink it. In other words, Little Cherry was not paddling just now, but she was in poor condition because she had a stomachache during her period. The fight with Jin Huixiu was also because he thought she had drugged his thermos. This girl can beat Jin Huixiu down even if she is not feeling well. Under normal circumstances, wouldn't Jin Huixiu be disfigured by her beating? What a fierce girl! Jun Chennai nodded while listening, and then looked at Jin Huixiu. His eyes became sharp. So you explain it this way. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1413. Chapter 1413 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 24. Jin Huixiu quickly defended, shaking her head like a rattle. She lied. I didn't drug her at all, and I didn't know she was having her period. I didn't splash the glass of ice water on her, I was just playing with others. Accidentally poured it on her. She just deliberately framed me without any basis. Without any evidence. Little Cherry took over what she said. Yes, you bribed these people, and they don't dare to come forward to contradict you. Little Cherry then looked at Jun Chennai, with a righteous face on her face. President, don't you think it's strange? When the two of us fought, everyone stood behind her to support her, but no one was willing to stand up for me. Jun Chennai nodded and listened to Xiao Ying's next words with great interest. Because this woman, Jin Huixiu, has been buying people's hearts in private, and relying on her power, she uses despicable means to win people's hearts. Little Cherry continued, of course, I'm not saying that everyone is a snob, but everyone they are not willing to stand up to Kim Hye-soo for a humble person like me. Mentor, CEO, believe me or not, if the C position of the girl group is given to a woman like Kim Hye-soo, the girl group will be screwed by her sooner or later. It's so messy. Something will happen sooner or later. Jin Hui was so delicate that she pointed at little Cherry's nose and scolded, "What are you talking nonsense about? If everyone doesn't like you, shouldn't you find the reason within yourself? You are so withdrawn, proud and condescending, who wants to be friends with you? Everyone has their own judgment. We are all adults and I don't have that strong brainwashing skills. Don't frame me." Little Cherry just sneered and looked at Jun Chennai. I have said everything I need to say. If you don't believe me, there is nothing I can do. In short, if you let me and Jin Huixia debut in a group, then I'd better resign. Little Cherry put down her harsh words. Jin Huixia raised her lips with disdain on her face. Me too, if this woman debuts with me, I won't do it either. There was a hint of secrecy on the corner of Jun Chennai's mouth. He also came from the entertainment industry, and he was used to seeing the intrigues in the entertainment industry. This kind of small fight is nothing at all. Jun Chennai smiled slightly. Okay, since you all said so. Why don't we turn on the camera and take a look? Oh, by the way, the cameras are not just the ones you see. There are still many pinhole cameras in the dark. It was originally prepared to prevent trainees from eating snacks secretly, but now it seems that it actually has such an effect. Little Cherry's eyes immediately lit up when she heard Jun Chennai's words, and she glanced at Jin Huixia proudly. Okay, since you said that I framed you without any basis, then the evidence you want will come right away. Although Jin Huixia broke out in a cold sweat, her expression remained calm, and she still responded forcefully, just watch. Who is afraid of whom? You don't need to follow me. I and a few mentors will go and see it. When we come back, we will naturally give you a decision and justice. Jun Chennai said and left with a group of mentors. Jun Chennai and his group had just left when they heard a burst of noise coming from the practice room behind them. Jun Chennai smiled slightly as if he had achieved his goal. President, when did we install the pinhole camera? One of the instructors asked doubtfully. It's not installed. Jun Chennai curled his lips and answered with a relaxed expression. Then you. The instructor understood it immediately when he was halfway through speaking. Then what are you going to do? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1414. Chapter 1414 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 25. In this case, you listen to me. After listening to Jun Chennai's words, the instructors all opened their eyes wide and were extremely surprised. The president is worthy of being a president, but his brain is indeed different from theirs. At this moment, there was still a lot of noise on Little Cherry's side. Xiaoying didn't get involved with that group of people anymore, but sat quietly by herself, waiting for the situation on Jun Chennai's side. Jin Huixia rolled her eyes at Little Cherry, her face full of disgust. Huixia and what should I do now? They don't really have any cameras over there, is it really captured? A girl who had a close relationship with Jin Huixia whispered to her. Jin Huixia just shrugged with a relaxed expression, so what, it's not my fault. When Jin Huixia said this, her eyes glanced at another frightened girl not far away. The girl raised her head, met Jin Huixia's eyes, and her body began to tremble. Jin Huixia squinted her eyes, and the girl turned pale with fright and lowered her head. Jin Huixia knew that the girl didn't dare to say something she shouldn't have said. Even if the camera was really brought out, she was not caught doing anything. Everything had nothing to do with her. As long as it has nothing to do with her, then let Xiao Yingtao make trouble unreasonably. Then, Xiao Yingtao will not be able to clear up the fact that she deliberately went against Jin Huixiu. She doesn't want to debut in a girl group with herself? Jin Huixio couldn't wait to do it. According to Little Cherry's temperament, Jin Huixio escaped this time and no dirty water could be poured on her. She would definitely be able to debut. And Little Cherry had already said that she would definitely quit. Then, no one would compete with her for the C position. From this point of view, everything she did today was not a loss at all. The so-called camera had the effect of fueling the flames. About half an hour later, the instructor called Little Cherry over. Jin Huixio's lips curled up. The look in her instructor's eyes suggested that the investigation had yielded results and had nothing to do with her. Little Cherry had a cold face the whole time. When she arrived at the office and faced everyone, the expression on Little Cherry's face did not ease at all. "We have investigated clearly, Little Cherry, our company does not need people like you, you can go," the instructor said to Little Cherry with a cold face. Little Cherry's face was ashen as before, but now she looked a little brighter, but she raised her head, sneered, and looked at everyone with her sinister eyes. "Investigation? If you had really investigated, you wouldn't say such things. Well, since you really want to drive me away, I won't say anything and just leave. Anyway, I can't stay here now. Go down." Jun Chennai raised his eyebrows when he heard Xiao Yingtao's sad words. "It's obviously you who caused the trouble, why do you still say such things? If it weren't for you, so many things wouldn't have happened here." Little Cherry looked at Jun Chennai seriously. That look struck straight into the depths of Jun Chennai's heart. Jun Chennai hadn't seen such a pair of stubborn and sincere eyes for a long time. A long time ago, Jun Chennai also saw such eyes on Xia Ying. At that time, Jun Chennai and Xia Ying were still at the same table. Xia Ying was not the national goddess, and Xia Menjian was not a heinous bad person. At that time, when Xia Ying faced Xia Menjian's accusation, she looked at everyone, it's the same kind of eyes. Jun Chennai felt a little shocked mentally. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1415. Chapter 1415 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 26. When you were falsely accused of sexually abusing young children, didn't the keyboard warriors on the internet say this about you? So now, I'm in the same situation as you at that time, unable to defend myself, and I don't want to defend myself. At worst, I'll sign a contract with someone else. Our company is as high as the sky, and I, the Little Cherry, can't do without you, the Emperor. What Little Cherry said, every word was sharp and resounding. Jun Chennai stopped talking, and just looked at Little Cherry's clasped hands, with a hint of smile gradually appearing on his brows. Jun Chennai already had a rough idea in his mind. 10 minutes later, Little Cherry came back, with no expression on her face, still sitting quietly where she was. At this time, the instructor called Jin Huixio over again. Jin Huixio held her head high and followed her mentor to the office. Jun Chennai was also there, sitting on a chair with a straight face, like a perfect work of art. "Jin Huixio, we have investigated clearly. Our company does not need people like you. You can leave." One of the instructors looked disappointed and said to Jin Huixio. The other instructors also had the same expression, staring at her with a look of hatred. Jin Huixio was confused and quickly defended, "Why? I didn't do anything. All this has nothing to do with me. You don't have to quibble, we already understand it clearly." Jin Huixio frowned in confusion, "But you have to give me a reason why you want to drive me away. I didn't frame Xiao Tao, and I didn't do anything inappropriate. Why should you drive me away?" At this time, Jun Chennai's cold voice came over, "Now that things have happened, why are you still quibbling? Why should I admit something I haven't done?" Jin Huixio seemed very confident. Jun Chennai stood up directly, and then led Jin Huixio to the trainee. Little Cherry sitting aside just raised her eyes and glanced at Jin Huixio. Jin Huixio seemed at a loss, and the expression on her face became panicked. Jun Chennai waved to Xiao Yingtao, motioning for her to come over, and Xiao Yingtao walked towards Jun Chennai. Everyone saw that when Jun Chennai looked at little Cherry, his eyes were as gentle as catkins. Everyone is murmuring in their hearts, but they dare not discuss it with others. Why is Mr. Jun so special to little Cherry? From the time he signed her contract to now, whenever it involves her, Mr. Jun always seems to be extraordinarily different. We have investigated this matter clearly. Jun Chennai was flanked by Jin Huixiu and Xiao Yingying respectively. In view of the fierce internal conflicts among the trainees, it is not just the one we saw today. So I decided before selecting the members of the girl group, we must first rectify this trend. Everyone knows that we, the Emperor, hate the intrigue among internal artists and plotting against each other for profit and fame, so we will never accept those whose moral character is not up to standard before their debut. Will want it? Before selecting the members of the girl group, I would like to take advantage of today's incident to give you another chance. A chance to distinguish right from wrong and follow your heart. This matter, or rather the long-term belief, is Kim Hai-soo bullying others, or Cherry is savage and tyrannical. You guys, it's impossible not to know who you live with them, so whoever you believe will be behind you. In the end, all those who lie will be fired. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1416. Chapter 1416 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 27. As soon as Jun Chennai finished speaking, there was a sigh of relief, and everyone began to discuss. If Jun Chennai and his mentor really have evidence in their hands, or they really know something, then it is obviously not a wise move for them to continue to cover Jin Huixiu. But it doesn't rule out that Jun Chennai and the others don't know anything and are just using this opportunity to find out the truth. The conflict between Kim Hai-soo and Xiao Yingying intensified. These two people will definitely not appear in a girl group. One of them must leave. However, the question of who they should stand behind is worth pondering. Jun Chennai gave them 10 minutes to discuss. Once the time was up, Jun Chennai began to announce his side. These long 10 minutes have already made Jin Huixiu, who has always been confident, break into a cold sweat. Compared to Xiao Ying's calmness, Jin Huixiu seemed much guilty. Although she has been trying her best to adjust her mentality, at this juncture, her mentality has really exploded. Jun Chennai has already threatened them with being fired for lying. Even if those people usually support him, they will not give up their own rights and interests to help her at this moment when their own interests are endangered. What's more, Jin Huixiu has always been so sharp and even likes to belittle others. It is estimated that there are too many people who are dissatisfied with her in private. For these people, this is an opportunity to trip her up. Jin Huixiu's worries came true. When she stood in line, no one stood behind her. A few people originally came over during the journey, but seeing that there were too many people on little Cherry's side, it would not help even if they stood here, and it would also put them in danger of being expelled. As a result, in the final situation, Kim Hai-soo had no one supporter. Jun Chennai glared at Jin Huixiu with cold eyes. Do you have anything else to say? It has become so obvious that no one stands in her business, which means that all this is her fault. And little Cherry was only persecuted by her. Jin Huixiu lowered her head and gritted her teeth without speaking. Young Master Jun, I actually wanted to say it a long time ago. It's just that because Jin Huixiu is too powerful, I haven't dared to say it out at this time, a brave girl spoke up. From the first day little Cherry came in, Jin Huixiu didn't give her a good look. Even in normal times, she often led others to bully her in various ways, intentionally or unintentionally. Little Cherry was born in a rural area and became an internet celebrity. Jin Huixiu had different opinions. Zhong looks down on her. Oh, and she is jealous of Little Cherry because she is prettier than her, so she likes to cause trouble for her. It's not just that, because the boy said that Little Cherry is the prettiest, Jin Huixiu felt uncomfortable. Last time, while the company was on a long holiday, Jin Huixiu went to South Korea for plastic surgery. As a result, her face became stiffer and stiffer, and she couldn't come back from it. When I see the natural beauty of the Little Cherries, I feel even more unhappy. What nonsense are you talking about? Jin Huixiu's face turned red, and she felt even more angry when she heard that one by one they began to turn against her and sue her. That group of people usually flattered her the most and happily, but now that she was in trouble, it would be better if they didn't save her, but they actually added insult to injury by saying bad things about her in front of Jun Chennai, the mentor, and so many male trainees. Jin Huixiu is like beating someone up. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1417. Chapter 1417 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 28. You know best whether we are talking nonsense or not. Even though I didn't mess with you, Little Cherry, you keep bullying me like this, it's really too much. And I have been relying on my best dancing skills since I was a child. I speak so unpleasantly and like to belittle others. I always think that because I have a good background, I am superior. That kind of mouth is really disgusting. Perhaps seeing that Kim Hye-soo had lost power, those who usually suppressed began to speak out their innermost thoughts. Jin Huixiu was scolded so badly that she couldn't stand it anymore, so she covered her face and ran away quickly. Little Cherry looked at Jin Huixiu's embarrassed look and smiled happily. She didn't expect that Jin Huixiu would have such a day. He originally wanted to frame her, but who knew that stealing the chicken would end up losing the rice, and he would be destroyed. All the grievances she had accumulated in daily life were now expressed by the big guy. It would be really embarrassing if she were Kim Hye-soo and wanted to find a hole in the ground to bury herself. Everyone should take Jin Huixiu as a lesson. No matter how strong your business ability is, as long as you have a little crooked mind, you will never be able to gain a foothold in the emperor. The emperor has never lacked talents, and has never cultivated cancer for the entertainment industry. Jun Chennai's words made everyone applaud. After Kim Hye-soo left, the selection of the girl group began. The selection of girl groups can be said to be simple or complex. First, they take turns to compete in singing skills, then in dancing skills, and finally in completing the song, which tests the members' coordination ability. Even when dancing, the singing melody and rhythm cannot be disrupted, which requires everyone to have strong skills. The girl group members finally selected must be good at singing and dancing. Actually, the instructors had already given Jun Chennai a rough list before. Jun Chennai just checked and screened based on the list given by his instructor. The originally planned Jin Huixiu was fired, so they had to select another outstanding girl from among them. Since Jin Huixiu already has it, it is natural that Little Cherry is assigned the C position by Jun Chennai. After the singing competition, Little Cherry was still huddled in the corner, not with the crowd, quietly thinking about something alone. Jun Chennai walked towards her and looked at the girl curled up into a small ball. "Hey, Little Cherry, are you still feeling sick in your stomach?" After hearing Jun Chennai's voice, Little Cherry raised her head and looked at Jun Chennai with a pair of injured eyes. Jun Chennai was shocked again. These eyes are different from the brave and tenacious eyes just now. These eyes are as pure and harmless as white rabbits, and even give people a desire to protect them. Once upon a time, Jun Chennai had seen eyes like that. It was also at that time that Jun Chennai knew what a girl's aunt was. Jun Chennai's eyes couldn't help but become much gentler when he thought about the past. Little Cherry nodded feebly. It was a little better at first. I just finished a fight with Jin Huixiu and was so angry that I was half dead. Now I can't stand it anymore. Then you rest for a while, and when you feel better, you can compete on your dance skills again. Jun Chaniai's voice was still gentle. After speaking, Jun Chaniai turned around and left. Little Cherry stared at Jun Chaniai's back with burning eyes. That man is indeed as beautiful as I imagined when I was a girl. I thought that such a person only existed in novels, but I didn't expect that he really existed like this. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1418. Chapter 1418 Jun Chaniai Extra Chapter, 29. After the competition, Jun Chaniai and his mentors discussed and determined the final list of the girl group to debut. Cherry Sakura is also the captain in the C position, and the rest of the team members are also very good. The official debut time is set in 3 months. During this period, they will start preparing their debut tracks and filming the MV. Jun Chaniai gave the debut song to their girl group members to complete, and it was finally reviewed by Jun Chaniai. Dances are designed by specialized dance teachers. At the beginning of the group, Jun Chaniai positioned them not just as singers, but as idols, all-around idols. There is a huge vacancy in the Chinese girl group market, and the quality of the few girl groups that are active in the public eye varies. The emperor's goal is to create the strongest girl group in China. Naturally, they must have both songwriter and songwriter abilities. Writing lyrics and music by yourself, it's a bit difficult. Several girls gathered together and discussed in a low voice. Yeah, I've never written my own songs. Xiaoying Tao seemed relatively calm. Xiao Yingqing cleared her throat and coughed. We have received such training before, but now we have to put it into practice. Don't worry, the 5 of us will definitely be able to do it. Hearing what little Cherry said, the girls all looked at her. At the beginning, in the smokeless war between Jin Huixiu and Xiao Yingying, they were always bystanders, or perhaps they were on Jin Huixiu's side. But now, it is obvious that the winner of this war is little Cherry. At this moment, the group of them are a little embarrassed when facing little Cherry. Little Cherry seemed to have noticed something, and just smiled lightly. Since we are a group now, we should support each other and help each other to make our group better and better. Standing on the top of the female team at the top of the team. Little Cherry is a person who is extremely good at boosting morale. Her passionate words really made the girls excited and they nodded in response to her. Hearing the movement over there, Jun Chaniai just turned his head, glanced over there, and let out a soft snort in his nose. When Jun Chaniai left the emperor, he happened to see Xiaoying standing not far away to block the car. Jun Chaniai stood there waiting for his driver to drive over. When he saw an acquaintance, he walked over. Where do you live? How about I give you a ride? Hearing the sudden sound from behind, little Cherry was stunned for a moment. Turning sideways, she saw Jun Chaniai's face that was still eye-catching even at night. Jun Chaniai's eyes were the most beautiful ones that Xiaoying had ever seen. They were very bright, yet very pure. After looking at them for a long time, it seemed that he could see the story hidden behind those eyes. He is indeed a man with a story? No need, my family lives in a relatively remote area. Little Cherry waved her hand to refuse, and then added at the end, thank you. Jun Chaniai didn't say anything and just looked at the girl who was stubbornly blocking the car. There seems to be something different in the eyes. Nearly all the trainees had already left by car. They were either being picked up by drivers or driving their own luxury cars. Only little Cherry, the most popular little Cherry according to the instructor, was still blocking the car. Looking at Xiao Tao's usual clothes, she is also a rich person. And I have been a broadcaster for more than a year and have always been very prosperous. It's impossible, you don't even have a car, right? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1419. Chapter 1419 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 30. By the time Jun Chennai's driver drove the car to Jun Chennai, Xiaoying had not yet stopped the car. Little Cherry glanced at the luxury car in front of her, and felt a little embarrassed when she met Jun Chennai's eyes again. Xiaoliang got out of the car and said to Jun Chennai with a smile, "President, I found your bag." After Xiaoliang said this, he discovered Little Cherry. Jun Chennai nodded. Xiaoliang opened the car door. Jun Chennai took a few steps forward, then glanced sideways at Little Cherry, coughed twice. "Why don't you take the car if it's free? I don't know how to eat." You. Jun Chennai's words had a playful meaning, Little Cherry thought to herself. Also, why not take the free bus? Hence, Little Cherry leaned forward and got in. After Jun Chennai got in, he closed the car door. Xiaoliang swallowed. Although he didn't say anything, the expression on his face was like a kaleidoscope, colorful and wonderful. "Where is your home?" Jun Chennai asked again. "Shitten Road, Longwan District." Xiaoying Tao reported the address, and Jun Chennai and Xiaoliang were both stunned for a moment. This place is indeed very remote, and the entire Longwan district is currently being demolished and renovated one after another. Almost everything that can be moved has been moved. Why is Little Cherry still living there? Why do you live so far away? That place is at least an hour and a half drive from the Emperor in the city center. Moreover, the road over there is full of potholes due to demolition, making it extremely difficult to walk. Anyway, I usually live in the company and rarely go home, and I've lived there since I was a kid, so I'm used to it. Little Cherry answered naturally. "Do you take a taxi every time you go home?" Jun Chennai added another sentence. Little Cherry nodded. While Jun Chennai was talking to Xiaoying Tao, Xiaoliang stood aside like a stone pillar, not saying a word or moving. Driving slowly, Jun Chennai soon became tired. Originally, he had a meeting all day today. From time to time, he looked down at his watch or looked outside. The prosperity had gone, and now it was extremely cold outside. It seemed that there were not many cars walking on the entire road. Little Cherry glanced at Jun Chennai cutely. "Tut, a man with such an invincible face even from the side is simply terrifying." Just as Xiao Tao Tao was about to look away, Jun Chennai suddenly turned his head. When their eyes met, Xiao Tao Tao blushed for the first time, and then quickly turned his head away. It was really embarrassing to be caught looking at him. Jun Chennai looked very calm and composed. After looking at Little Cherry, he asked, "By the way, everyone calls you Little Cherry. What is your real name?" "My name is Tao Yingying, but everyone calls me Little Cherry." The name Tao Yingying was given to me by Uncle Wang next door when I first registered for registration. Uncle Wang got it for you. Jun Chennai seemed to hear something different. His sleepiness disappeared and his brows knitted together. Little Cherry showed a bitter smile. "I have no parents. I grew up eating bajia rice when I was born. Without Uncle Wang and the others, I might not have survived. The name Little Cherry was also given to me by them." Jun Chennai's expression became heavy. When he learned about Little Cherry's information before, he did mention that both of Little Cherry's parents were dead, and that she dropped out of college. However, Jun Chennai did not expect that there was so much sadness behind this incident. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1420. Chapter 1420 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 31. The car drove for a long time and finally reached Longwan District. The road ahead was blocked due to demolition, so Little Cherry got out of the car. Jun Chennai looked at the long disrepaired street lamps on both sides of the road. The dim light was like fireflies in this dark night, and had no effect at all. Jun Chennai frowned and looked at the mess around him. Thank you for sending me back today, I'm going home. Little Cherry smiled brightly at Jun Chennai. Jun Chennai looked at that bright smile, and as if by mistake, the moment Little Cherry turned around, he suddenly blurted out, how about I take you back? Little Cherry stiffened and looked back at Jun Chennai with a calm expression, not like he was joking. Little Cherry blinked, as if in disbelief. No. No need. Jun Chennai had already shown his tiredness along the way. When they went back, it would still be more than an hour's drive. By that time, it would be very late for Jun Chennai to go home. If he were to send him back, it would take another half an hour. Time. Now that you're here, let's take a look at your home. Jun Chennai said that he had already spread his long legs and walked to the front. Xiao Liang and the driver behind him looked confused. Xiao Liang asked the driver to wait where he was, and then followed them with a look of horror on his face. At first Jun Chennai was walking in front, but later because he didn't know the direction of Xiao Tao's house, he slowly walked side by side with Xiao Tao. Xiao Liang stared at the two of them with a horrified look. The more he looked at them, the more he thought, what's the matter with these two inexplicable matches? Xiao Liang's idea didn't stay in his mind for long before he was strangled in the cradle by himself. How could he think so? If his CEO knew his current thoughts, he would be crushed to pieces. Two people walk side by side with a safe distance of 30 centimeters between them. The road was very quiet, except for the occasional chirping of insects. I've read your information before. Why did you drop out of college before finishing your studies? At that time, Little Cherry was admitted to an ordinary first-class school, and her academic performance was pretty good. However, in the second semester of her freshman year, that is, after her group of photos became popular on the internet, she dropped out of school. Not long after, she became a network anchor. Because I'm red. When Little Cherry said this, her voice rose at the end, as if it was natural. Jun Chennai frowned, and Little Cherry turned her face to look at Jun Chennai. Although what she said was joking, the expression on her face was extremely serious when she spoke. When I became famous, I could make a lot of money based on my fame. At that time, it didn't mean much to me whether I went to school or not. Anyway, after I went to school, I also wanted to find a job, and I would definitely not be able to find a job. You can make more money by being an internet celebrity. A wry smile appeared on Little Cherry's face. Do you think I am very realistic? But this is life. Life is so cruel. Not everyone is like you. Just with a silver spoon in your mouth, you can inherit a fortune as soon as you graduate, and you can touch everything with your hands without much effort. But people like me have to work very hard to live the life they want. Jun Chennai looked at her for a long time and did not defend her misunderstanding about him. He just asked lightly, have you always thought this way since you were a child? End of this chapter.